And what a wonderful presentation there that was. That wasn't Adrian, that was in fact our former social media fellow, Daniela Gonzalez, there talking about her research. Just to clarify, the talk is still happening. We are going to be going live there in just a few minutes, and we are just setting up stage side. But for now, we're going to be having a chat with a very special guest as well. Now, Marek, you are a second year history student at Canterbury Christchurch, aren't you?
That is correct.
And you have been doing some work experience with us recently, haven't you?
Yes, I have, as part of my placement for Applied Humanities in Practice.
Okay, so what sort of things have you been doing for that?
So obviously when my placement first began, I was set the task of creating a 10-minute documentary focused on elements of Roman Canterbury in plain sight, actually.
Oh, wow. So what sort of things have you found about Canterbury and Roman history there?
So primarily I've learned that there's been a few locations, like St. Martin's Church, Dane John's Mound, actually, and certain areas of the city wall around the city centre that include like old Roman building material and Roman foundations. And whilst much of it has been wiped away, like the foundations are still in plain sight, actually. So, and it really does show you the depth that the Romans like basically provide the platforms for like civilizations to build upon.
It must have been amazing. So have you always been interested in that kind of history, or are you more interested in the filmmaking? Because I know you are doing a dual honours degree, aren't you?
Yeah, dual honours degree. Well, I've always had a passion for history, and film's been a new like sort of interest as well. So I think like the way I approach this placement is sort of like combining my passion with history with my creativity for film. That's been so great to sort of like use.
That must have been amazing. So what sort of things have you been doing today? Because I know we haven't seen each other very much. So I've been in the green room, and Marek has been out and about with Catherine, showing different people and sharing different stories. What sort of things have you been up to today?
I've mainly just been like going around the building, just getting small snippets of like people either like paying attention to the presentations or getting nice aerial shots of the presentations from above on the balcony. So that's been fun, but really good fun. And I really feel that it's going to be a fun highlight reel at the end of the day.
Definitely. So just to clarify again, we are going to be sharing these recordings very, very soon. And so if you do want to catch up with anything, then please feel free to do so. So we are also doing lots of different things, and in just a few minutes we are going to be going live to the main hall to hear Janina talk about her new book that we just spoke about. But Marek, what in terms of next steps for your research, what sort of things are you going to be looking at?
Well, like most of my research is all done, and I've made that into a script actually. So I've recorded all my narrative voiceovers, as I like to call it. So it's no David Attenborough, but it's a close second, I like to think. So what I've been doing now is just like adding in the dialogue and sort of making sure that they match up with the images, because a lot of the problems I've had recently is just like if the footage is too short, then obviously that's going to mess up the dialogue. If the dialogue's like too short, then obviously it's not going to match up with the images as well, actually. So it's a lot of like trial and error, but that's sort of like the beauty of film, actually. Like there's a lot of like ways that you can go back and correct something, so there's really hardly any pressure on myself to get it right first time.
Definitely. And in terms of going into third year, what are you looking forward most to looking at as you start to finish up your undergraduate degree?
Well, like a great like sort of joy for me is like sort of like combining my interests with history into film, actually. So what I'm planning on doing in the future is starting up my own YouTube channel, where I'm going to like be making a series of like short videos around the historical buildings of Canterbury, and sort of like build up a platform of what I can do creativity. So being part of the British Association for Local History has been a big part of that, and it's actually given me a lot more enthusiasm for third year, because not gonna lie, I was very like feeling very nervous about it because it's my final year of university, and I feel a bit unprepared still for for life after university, but this placement with British Association has really helped on the way.
Definitely. And in terms of the placement, we should probably talk a little bit about that while Yanina is setting up just the other side. So please do bear with us. As we've said previously, there's been some difficulties with her getting into London here today, so do bear with us, and we do apologise for the delay. But we are going to be talking a bit more about the placement so that those who are interested in future opportunities can do so. So it was through an actual module at university for yourself that you got into the placement, wasn't it?
It was actually, but what's actually contributed to my excitement and thrill of the whole placement is how I've been able to sort of like do that whilst also being on holiday with my family in South Africa, and that's actually brought with me a lot of like funny stories about it, because I remember like when we were staying at my grandfather's house, there was a lot of power cuts basically, so I would have to get my phone out like at night and then sort of like just use my torch to sort of like read through all the books I had to make as well. And so in a way that sort of like pushed me to be more creative as well. And so I think like it really does show that circumstances dictate how your final product is going to go out.
Absolutely. And we should also say, you know, based on Marek's experiences of being both a film production student as well as a historian, it's been so helpful to have someone else to help create the content that all of us love to see on social media and things like that. And have you always had that interest in filmmaking and things like that?
It's a relatively new interest, because I only started like properly looking into film at A level, but I always enjoyed when I was a child, like basically like telling like short stories about it, and so I sort of like saw like film as the next step to that, bringing my ideas of storytelling and bringing them to life on the screen actually, and that's the proper thrill of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of some of the people that you've met today, who's been your favourite? I know we shouldn't have favourites, but has there been someone that stood out for you, whether that was, you know, a local historian that you've admired for a while or anyone like that?
I have to say like
if it was Yanina too, then we were in a safe space.
well, Yanina is actually definitely one of them that's really caught my interest as well. But my favourite person to work with has been Catherine mainly as well, because it's through like our sessions today, whether they were like short or very like long, they've actually been, it's really fun to sort of like talk to a nice fellow in film enthusiast.
Absolutely. And I should say as well, so behind the scenes of creating Local History Day, we've been having a lot of conversations with Marek about camera work and things like that. And I must admit, I'm very much a novice with anything filmmaking, which is why Catherine does such a wonderful job. And I remember being sat there as you two were talking and sort of thinking, gone way over my head. But it's been so lovely. It is the absolute dream team to have the two of you there working together, and I cannot wait to see all of the wide shots and the wonderful things that you're doing. And just as a reminder for everyone, if you are interested in getting involved in a similar way to how Marek and Catherine have been creating these videos, if you go to our website www.balh.org.uk, you can learn about things such as the 10-minute talks, which you can provide a short presentation about your local history research, like Marek's talk on Roman Canterbury, which you'll be seeing very soon. So check that out and make sure to look and keep an eye out for Marek. And then as well, we've got podcasts and Local History Hour, as well as our blog. But I'm very excited to say we are now going to go live back to the hall. Thank you so much for bearing with us. We're now going to hear from Dr. Yanina Ramirez in our final talk of today, which is going to be about the wonderful book that we saw earlier, which is Femina, which is her new book. And this is an advanced copy, so we're very excited at BALH to have this. So we're going to hopefully go live to the hall and have a chat with Yanina.